What if the veil between the two worlds was thinner than you think? And what if your unique way of seeing the world was the key to looking through it? Welcome to A Sanctuary for the Soul podcast. Join us as we journey into the heart of spiritual development, from the practical guidance of mentorship to the deep connection of trance mediumship.
We are here to facilitate healing, awaken your intuition, and help you navigate your path with confidence. Speaking from our own deep journeys, we've learned to experience the world and the spirit world with a unique sensitivity. This is our space to share that perspective with you. So take a deep breath and let's explore that connection together. So, Andy, when did this all start for you?
The spooky weird journey?
Yeah, when did you start to think, actually, this is really a thing for me?
Consciously, I didn't. I
Okay.
never thought that this is a thing. I mean, I guess not many people listening would have had the same sort of introduction to, the wonderful and weird. But for me, it was back in around about 2013, I believe. And my grandfather materialized physically at the side of my bed.
That must have been unbelievable.
I think the word you're looking for is weird, strange, startling, like what the heck? All of the above.
And powerful and emotional.
Well, I mean, kind of joking aside, it was just mind blowing. If you imagine, you know that this person has been, in the spirit world for 20 plus years, and you wake up and you see him at the side of the bed. Now, at no point did he say anything at all, but I remember feeling like the whiskers. I mean, like for a man, if you haven't had a shave for, let's say, 12, 24 hours, you start to feel the bristles on your face. Imagine you feeling them of a person that has been dead, allegedly, for 20 plus years, and his skin felt warm and you could feel the bristles. But the thing that really grabbed my attention was I felt love, Liz, like I can't even begin to imagine how to describe it. Let's just say love on a scale beyond anything I'd ever experienced before. And of course, I've got family, I've got pets, that I love more than I can say. But that kind of love, it was like you'd plugged me straight into the mains. Absolutely
Wow.
mind blowing.
Wow. Absolutely beautiful.
It was an amazing experience. So, I mean, I defy anyone to have an experience like that and then say, right, that's fine. If you don't think to yourself, I need to know what the heck just happened, then I think there's something wrong. I think with hindsight, it needed to be something of that magnitude because I am, as it happens, or I was then, fairly skeptical by nature. I wouldn't have posted myself as being anyone interested in stuff like this, the spirit world, anything esoteric or mystical, nothing like that. That wouldn't have been my thing. So it
Yeah.
really needed to be something else.
I mean, you can't even begin to, then say there isn't something else. Once you've experienced something like that, that's it, isn't it? It's almost like you jumped on the path with 2 feet, I'd say.
I think you had to. I mean, it's just like, with the benefit of hindsight, I'm kind of like, thank God that he did materialize because I wouldn't be sat here because I wouldn't have that interest. But yeah, so that was an interesting start to it. But what about you? Just refresh my memory. How did you get into this? What sort of brought you to the spooky world, as I call it?
Yeah. So, well, it's interesting because as I was listening to you saying that, I was thinking what I would have given to have that experience, but with my dad.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, oh my goodness, I used to dream of that sort of thing happening because for
Really?
me, yeah, what I would have given over the years, because my dad died when I was 9. And I
Wow.
would say it was at that point almost like something switched for me and I became absolutely fascinated and, well, I just wanted to have that connection with him.
Yeah.
And that was what really provoked me to wanting to understand, what happens, where do we go? Um, and it became a lifelong interest for me ever since that moment.
Yeah.
But having said that, it was just an interest and a fascination. It wasn't until um around the same sort of time, about 10 years ago, that I actually started, I suppose, taking a more serious way with my spiritual development. And it was at that point that, yeah, I started attending things to actually learn more. Whereas before it had just been a fascination. Whereas then
Yeah.
about 10 years ago, it turned into more of a practical interest that I actually took steps to engage with.
Okay, but was there something where you thought, I want to do something on a more structured level? Was there like a moment that took you to that, or did you just, think, I've got time and, commitments mean that I can, dedicate some time? Was there a thing that got you to it, or did it just seem to happen?
Well, yeah, there was a pivotal moment. Now you mention it. I'd recently decided that I wanted to, because I was teaching health psychology at the time, and I'd decided that I wanted
Right.
to modify what I was teaching. I'd become really interested in mindfulness and compassion.
Okay.
And it was at that point, actually, it was like that interest in opening the heart and working on my own self compassion that began, yeah, that opening up to the spirit world and my connection in that way. So actually, it was the mindfulness and compassion.
Right. And was it what, looking back, do you kind of think to yourself it all happened at the right time? Would you have done anything differently or followed a different path with the benefit of hindsight? Or are you kind of glad that it's just, naturally progressed in the way that it has?
No, well, wishful thinking, I would love my dad to materialize.
No, and look,
But yeah, I mean that in a light-hearted way, but no, I wouldn't change anything. Gosh, I can't believe I'm saying that anyway. I've had many adventures, but no, I'm happy with the path that I took to get there. It gave
yeah,
me a good foundation, I think, engaging in compassion practices. And it's really shaped the way that I teach and guide other people, because we always start with the essence and nature of compassion.
it's interesting, isn't it? And I don't know, you can look back sometimes and think, yeah, I would have done this differently or that differently, but that's always with the benefit of hindsight, isn't it? And there is no way of turning back time, quite obviously. So, it just makes you think, I don't know, sometimes when you go through like a deep experience or an emotional trauma or something that makes you go, what the hell's the universe doing to me? And, but you always get through it. You do
Hmm.
always get through it and you always find a way of just moving past whatever seems insurmountable at the time. But, I mean, thank goodness, I've still, got my parents, they're now in their 70s, but I can't even begin to imagine what it must have been like to be 9 years old and to be dealing with, the loss of a parent. I mean,
Hmm.
it'll be difficult enough when it happens if we're in our like 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s and your parent, passes. And even then, you think, oh no, you don't want it to happen. And yet we know it's going to happen at some point. But like the general scheme of things is that a parent is always outlived by the child,
Hmm.
but you never want it to be so close. You don't want it to be that, you just get 9 years, not maybe 40 or 50 years plus. So, yeah, I mean, that must have been a difficult experience, but made it strong
But
stuff.
it shapes you, doesn't it? I mean, what
Yeah.
about yourself? What would you change when you look back at how your path then unfolded? So you were launched onto this path, both feet, having that experience,
Hmm.
and it then unfolded. And when you think about how it unfolded, would you change anything?
I think it's one of those things that if we wanted it to be perfect, then we would say, yes, I would have changed, 99% of it. But the world isn't perfect. The journey isn't perfect. And then you think about it, on reflection, everything that happens that seems like it's a pain in the backside, it is a teaching experience, it's a learning experience for you, isn't it? So we could say in an ideal world, everything would always go perfectly, and that would be the way that we would design it. But I don't think life was ever designed to be perfect, because what do we ever learn if we are never challenged emotionally, physically, spiritually, or intellectually? If you're never challenged, then you will never question anything. You will just experience life in its purest form. But I think life, being human, is difficult, and it's challenging, and it makes you the person that you become. And so many people that have achieved so much in life will often talk about experiencing adversity and troubles, and maybe a very difficult background or upbringing. And so you have to sort of come to the conclusion, I think, that those things that challenged them either stimulated their growth or they inspired them in some way to become whatever they became. So there is that part. But I think all of those lessons that I learned, through, good, bad, or indifferent experiences have taken me to where I am. And I enjoy what I do. And, it's a great passion. And I think don't spend any time or energy, regretting what has happened. Just appreciate the learning experience. Just kind of keep moving forward.
What's been one of your most memorable moments on this particular path?
Oh my goodness. Few unexpected moments, like, well, I suppose one of the most memorable moments is my granddad materializing.
Of
Um,
course.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was pretty memorable. I don't think I'll ever forget that. Doing a communication where I was expecting to connect to a loved one, and I connected to an animal, and
Beautiful.
it was really evidential. He
Mm,
shared an English translation from his Russian name, and there was no way I could know stuff like that. And the
amazing.
images, the sort of the clairvoyant images, and the communication was such that, when I eventually took that leap of faith to say what I was seeing, because I was starting to become aware that this seems a little bit crazy, and the recipient knew exactly what was going
Yeah.
on. And that was a lesson to me, that communication, a soul, that bridge of love between two souls, that isn't just confined to the human world. That
No.
is animal to human, human to animal. So
Mm,
I really strongly believe, and I know through, other experiences that I've personally had with animal communication with my own pets that have crossed over, that
mm,
that has been proved in so many ways
mm,
that it brings me great joy to know that one day in the future, while there may be sadness at my passing, there will be incredible joy on my part to know that I will be reunited with all of those dogs that we
mhm,
love now and that we loved in the past. And
mm,
I will be very, very happy. And I think a lot of people, think about the loss of a loved one, and we often assume it's the loss of a human loved one. But I think the connection between humans and animals, dogs, cats, and horses, and whatever, is special to you, I think there is so much unconditional love, so much deep and honest and pure love
Yes.
that is what many people that are grieving, that is what they're grieving for, is
Mm.
those animal connections. And we must never make light of the deep love that people have for animals. I mean, I know you're the same, so,
Mm.
I'm preaching to the converted here, but, yeah, that's just a couple off the top of my head.
Mm.
Really
Mm.
special moments because they're special to me too, as well as the person that was involved. Yeah.
Yeah, I truly believe that animals actually provide us with a bridge to spirituality because they're exhibiting, that just authentic state, that
Yeah.
open-hearted,
Yeah.
and particularly dogs, that just unconditional love at all times. So, I think if anything, they provide us with that bridge, and we can start to really embody that state when we're
Yeah.
around them because they're just existing in that way.
Well, I mean, this is it. I mean, I've said to people in the past, I wonder whether we really are above animals in the sense of
Mm.
spirituality and true spiritual essence, because my dogs have never been angry when I've walked in the door. They've never held a grudge against me. They've never, gone off in a huff or done anything to make me feel anything other than loved and like I am their favorite thing in the whole world.
Mm.
You walk in the door, the tails are wagging, they're happy to see you. And even if you've had an absolute stinker of a day, you look at them and you look at their whole body wagging as they come up to you.
Mm.
And it can't help but fill you with gratitude and joy. And you just think to yourself, the world
Yeah.
really is a wonderful place. And mainly because dogs are in it.
Mm.
But that's my
Beautiful.
thought. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So what's your kind of reflection, Liz, when you think about what has this journey done for you? What have been the good points and maybe the not so good points, as you think back on the journey so far?
I think the good points are I have learnt so much about myself
Yeah.
in terms of my own energy, the power of my own thoughts, to create my own path forward, and how every time there's reframing or an overcoming or a shift or a change, it allows me to move forward in some way. But also, I think experiencing, particularly through trance mediumship, that connection to those that love us and guide us, and really experiencing that connection in such a deep way has been something that has allowed me to want to continue to, move forward, and has given me trust and faith that I'm supported. So for me, it's been very much that felt experience when that connection gets deepened, and how that has really allowed me to want to move forward with this, to allow other people to understand that connection and that support that's always there for them. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's been such a powerful, sometimes very, very challenging. Definitely, often we learn the most when, like you say, when we're given a really big challenge.
Yeah.
But also, there's been so many highs and so many exciting moments and breakthroughs that, yeah, I think it's just a joy. It really is.
No, I think, a lot of people will resonate with that. It's often it can be painted to be, it's all going to be roses. It's, and I hate this expression, it's all going to be love and light. And you think to yourself, well, that's not really the truth. I mean, some of the most unspiritual people I've ever met have been within the spiritual community, and I kind of think, well, they never they never read the instructions, did they? You know, they've they've displayed the absolute worst in, all of the human traits that we aspire not to be. And, I'm not saying that to, to have a dig, but look, the truth is the truth. And, some of those people that you kind of might have looked up to, they've ended up really showing their true colours after a while. And you think to yourself, well, I had a lucky escape there. And so I think it can offer a challenge. And there is some equally beautiful people out there, you know, truly spiritual, you know, it cannot do enough to help you. But, you know, being mediumistic or being in the spiritual world doesn't make you spiritual. You have to spiritualize yourself. And that comes through the way that you think, the way that you live, you know, the way that you talk to people and interact with them. You know, make them know that there's possibilities and raise them up and uplift them and do all the things that you want someone to do for you. You know, not
Mm,
look for ways of keeping them under your control because you're frightened
mm.
they may outgrow you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You know, it's as much about what what we're engaging with and yeah, how we move ourselves forward as it is that connection that we want to build upon.
Yeah.
I was thinking, you know, one of the things as well that I've really learned through this is one of the most powerful lessons has been that, you know, when I'm feeling, you know, like, oh, you know, woe is me in some way or something's a bit heavy or difficult, I think one of the best things has been then helping someone else. And it lifts us out of, you know, our own sort of, oh, you know, the weight of the world. And I
Yeah.
think that's been one of the most powerful lessons spiritually, is that actually reaching out, helping other people and being in that connection reminds us, you know, to stay centered and to not get lost in our own experience.
Yeah. Not to think like that, you know, the world or the universe revolves around you. And
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
if we're being honest, we know it feels wonderful to help someone. You get a tremendous sense of like upliftment and to see someone, you know, their eyes light up when you might just say something either positive about what they've done or you're giving them encouragement to see the potential within them. You know,
Yeah.
that's a really powerful tool for change. And I guess, you know, in the work that we do, I know for a fact that, you know, we're both really keen that, you know, we show people how they can move forward and how we can give them the tools to see things in a more positive light or to understand that they have that potential within them. And I think, you know, this isn't just about sharing skills. It's about, you know, sharing our humanity. It's about sharing our love for something that we're all interested in.
Mm,
And, you know, giving people tools to raise them up, not looking for ways of knocking them down.
absolutely.
Yeah, it sounded a bit ranty, that, didn't it? But, you know, it is how I genuinely feel.
We love a rant though.
It's, yeah, no, I got to admit, I do like a rant, you know, now and again. So, if I was to ask you this question, and that is moving forward, like for the podcast and for your journey, what are your hopes and aspirations, you know, maybe in the sort of short to medium term? What do you kind of want to achieve? That's what I want to put to you now, and we'll see where it leads.
Gosh, I wouldn't say I have a grand plan, as it were. I
Interesting.
think Yeah, I think I'm open to see how each step opens the next door. I
Right.
know what
Yeah.
I like
Yeah. Yeah.
and I have a sense of determination, you
Yeah.
know, in sticking to that. Um, I am prepared to take each step and see what that leads to. I think one of the things that I experience most joy with is leading, you know, my courses, but also that joint facilitation with you at weekends and retreats. And then those moments of really seeing people get so much from energy healing and intuitive guidance. So really those 3, 4 things are what makes my heart sing. And I intend to just keep deepening my trust and
Yeah.
evolving and bringing more and just see, you know, maybe one day we'll have the most amazing healing center, but who
Yeah, that'd
knows?
be cool.
Exactly. But I'm kind of open to trusting the process, doing my best, keep sorting um, my own inner world out, and yeah, just to allow each door to open. What about yourself?
I guess, it's similar to yourself in some ways. I mean, some of the journey, I think I've probably been guilty of thinking maybe a lot about what I can learn, what I can teach, and what I can share with other people, and then maybe not dedicating quite enough time to what is it that might hold me back? What is it that I do or I think or ways in which I think that don't bring out the best in me, and I think that being very introspective and also being very honest, and sometimes you have to be really honest and say out loud, I do whatever, and it makes you want to hide it, and it may be that you say something, like I can be judgmental, and it's not nice to say that out loud to someone, but I don't think we're ever going to truly achieve, our full potential if we don't be honest with ourselves about what are the good things, celebrate the good things about you, but also acknowledge the things that can be improved, that can be acknowledged. And I'm not saying everyone has lots of stuff going on, but I think often we like to put our best foot forward, and we like to wear that mask that shows a happy, smiley face. But underneath, there's still those moments of sadness or moments of, things that you don't like about yourself. And I think this year has been a year of acknowledging the stuff that needs to be improved. And I think as much as anything, I want to carry on working in that way. And also, to use that understanding to help other people. The work that we do jointly in retreats and those weekends and the stuff online. I mean, that does make my heart sing. And my guys will often use that phrase, when people say, what should you do with your life? Or I don't know what to do with my life. And, when they're speaking through me in that trance state, they said a number of years ago, you must do what makes your heart sing. And it was such a profound piece of wisdom as I heard those words being said for the first time. It just made me like stop and go, my goodness, that is it, isn't it? Go out of the mind and go into the heart and do what
Definitely.
makes your heart sing. And I think, from my perspective, there endeth the story,
Yeah.
because that's as good a place as any to kind of say, what do I want and where's it going?
Lovely. I have absolutely no doubt that, yeah, you will bring to life everything you want to. I think there's a quiet determination in you, and that honesty and that ability to look within and want to create those changes. I see it all the time with clients, and it starts to reflect in their outer world.
Yeah.
I've loved this chat. Thank you.
Liz, thank you so much. I mean, we're going to be doing this regular, and, we're always open to subjects. So if people are listening and you kind of think, I'd love Liz and Andy to speak about, whatever you feel passionate about, then drop us a message. We'd love to hear from you. And what we'd love to say is this is the first of many chats that we'll be having. We will do things our way, as we always do, but it's been a pleasure chatting with you. So until next time, we will catch up with you guys soon.
Goodbye.
See ya.